it's ready to go.
Okay. Uh, Hi, I'm Leon Evans. I'm the CEO of the Center for Healthcare Services in San Antonio, and we're known for our community collaboration and finding alternatives for people with severe mental illness and addiction problems uh, to find alternatives to treatment rather than being placed in jail or being in and out of emergency rooms all the time or being homeless on our streets. We have a community collaboration that over the years we've developed a program called the Restoration Center, which is located centrally in San Antonio. And that facility has a sobering unit, a detox unit, a mental health crisis screening unit, and a unit that does minor medical emergency. We've, over the past 12 years or so, have embraced the crisis intervention training for law enforcement officers, which is a 40-hour training with lots of role playing. The officers are trained to recognize the signs and symptoms of mental illness and addiction problems, and rather than using their command voice and command presence, they use these de-escalation techniques. They step back and use gentle talk-down procedures rather than making things worse. They make things better, and now they have an alternative to take these people and get them help rather than criminalizing them and taking them to jail. So about 95% of the almost 6,000 certified police officers in San Antonio have been through this 40-hour training. Our sheriff, who's a retired two-star general, not only has all her deputies certified, but she also has some of her jailers, because it's also tense in jail, and she wants them to de-escalate tensions in the jail rather than exacerbate them by using their command voice and command presence. Our police chief requires officers to go through the training before he'll let them even carry a taser, because he wants them to use verbal intervention before force. So the Restoration Center receives about 25,000 people a year, mainly brought by law enforcement officers who used to go to jail or go to emergency rooms or put back on the street homeless. The program was really developed over the last 14 years or so, and it's hard to get your community to come together and have law enforcement officers, judges, family members, the business community, health officials to come together and work on problems. Everybody's so busy, and people, unless they look at the research and really look at the problem, don't understand what a huge cost it is to society and lost productivity and actual healthcare costs and costs to the taxpayers by not addressing this problem. And the real tragedy here is criminalizing people for having an illness. As we're starting to really figure out that the public mental health system has been so defunded over the years, and we've shut down so many state hospital beds that there aren't treatment alternatives for these folks. So law enforcement and it's the public safety net. So if these people aren't being treated, they have unusual behaviors, and they become involved with law enforcement, and bad things happen for everybody. So in Texas, there's a program called Right on Crime. It's a very conservative think tank, and they've looked at a lot of data, including our data, and they're promoting nationally, not only in Texas, these treatment alternatives, because they have the data that shows that it saves taxpayers money, and it also improves the public safety net, and that's not including the health and healing that goes on when people come to treatment. So when I came to San Antonio, before that I was the director of the Texas Department of Mental Health, Memory Retardations Community Service Division, and became painfully aware of the number of people in the Texas prison system who shouldn't be there because of their mental illness, really nonviolent mentally ill offenders. And so I wanted to do something when I came here, and I knew if I had tried to bring the community together, that probably wouldn't have worked. So I wanted to find a community champion to help bring the community together and make sure that the right leadership was in the room, people that could say yes to innovation and change and not say no. So I went to our county judge, Nelson Wolf, who's still our county judge, was the mayor before that and the state senator before that, explained the problem issue. And of course, he's very bright and he got it right away. And he penned a letter, got the mayor to co-sign it, and charged our community to put together this little jail diversion committee. That committee over the years has morphed into what we call the Medical Directors Roundtable. And we have about 60 people a month who show up. We keep a lot of data on all these processes, what's working, not working. We have a continuous quality improvement environment, so we keep changing. And we find things, because Texas is fairly conservative and these services aren't funded very well. So we find things that we need in our community that would really improve our continuity of care and our safety net that we can't fund, but we put it on a parking lot, and over the period of time, we find a way to fund those programs, and the sobering detox unit is a good example of that. So I look forward to coming to Redding and visiting with your community leadership, and helping kind of tell our story. But the real success is of our community is our community came together in the leadership, and I encourage people who are interested in changing the environment. It's really the local leaders, the local community coming together and find solutions that make these things really work. It's a local investment. So see you in Redding soon, I look forward to being able to visit with the community.